I'm now looking at how I can do the lower part of the receiver, basically the trigger guard and all the lower section which will hold and clamp the gearbox in position. So I'm basically comparing the real gun with my replica or airsoft gun. Now you can see this gearbox. They have a small screw hole at the front here on the AGM M14 gearbox. Now that's how I normally mount these gearboxes. There's not a lot of positions you can secure to be honest with you. There is one, I think there's a hole which travels from left to right down at the front end of the gearbox, but generally they're not in a very good position to use unless you do something like put a roll pin all the way through from one side of the casing to the other, which could be a good idea. That would hold it secure. So basically I'm looking at the moment I'm looking at getting a length of steel plate around about 18 centimeters in length. Now I just happen to have this piece here, which is 1.5 millimeter thick black mild steel, and it's about 18.7 centimeters in length, just a little bit longer than I need, but that'll be fine. I've been cutting pieces off it previously, but this should do for working, for starting this off. So what I've done is I've taken a measurement across here using a tape measure, and I've measured approximately 5.5 centimeters to allow 2.4 centimeters flat or curved across the center section. Where are we? That there is actually 22 millimeters, but I'm allowing 1 millimeter each side as a little bit of clearance to approximately there. Then I'm going to curve the sides over. Now what I'm doing for the time being is I've marked out a set of lines on this metal sheet. The first two, sorry if you can't see this very well, but the outer lines are 5.5 centimeters. Then I've marked in a center line, so it's 32.5. Not what is it now? No, 27.5. Yeah, so I've marked in a center line, which is 27.5 millimeters in. Then I've marked out from the center line 12 millimeters each side to give me my 24. So that's my starting point. So that will give me a point somewhere here where I'm going to have to cut a slot in it to fit the trigger through. Then I'm going to have to fold the sides over slightly. Now if you look at the original gun here for comparison, this actually has this center section here, which is let's see, is actually 25 millimeters across. Yeah, but because I'm not able to do it the same way as this, you can see this flared section here, this angled section on the original upper receiver section, I'm having to build into the lower part so that I can slide my gearbox in and out due to its width. So I'm having to incorporate the bottom and that flared side section there. In terms of all this trigger guard area and the magazine guide and magazine catch, I'm going to have to build that on top of this section which I'm going to make. It's basically work out one part at a time. Now, in terms of holding this thing secure, if I swing the original gun over, you can see there's a pin which runs from left to right here on the receiver. Now, that pin basically comes through to this plate here. So if you swing that round, you can see how it locks into this cocking guide here on the side. You swing that over, that pin then pulls outwards, and that would allow you to remove the lower section of the trigger mechanism. Now, I don't know if you can do it on this one, I've never even tried. Because it is a deactivated model, and stripping it down might not be possible. But what do you know? It's the first time I've ever done that. It does actually come apart. So you can see the original mechanism in here. You can see where it's deactivated down there. See where the bolt face has all been chopped up. Yeah, so there you can see how the real magazine catch works. You push on the pin just in front of the trigger, and it swings that arm in there. So there's obviously a spring mounted just down there, inside there. See? There's a little bit of detail for people. Anyway, for now, I'll see if I can fit that back in there. The problems of using one hand while I'm using the video recorder. There we are, locked. Now this part here, I'll be fitting that on when I've done all the gearbox mechanism, and maybe even when I've got the gun functioning. So you can see that's actually a quite simple way of locking the gearbox inside the gun, and I'll probably incorporate that rather than putting a screw through the side. Works quite easy. You can see there's basically just a little dimple. You could probably achieve that with a punch from this side of the metal so that it puts a dent on the other side, and that locate into a little basically just get your drill and just drill a small recess so that that notches in like that. Yes, so I'm going to go and cut this metal out, and I may put a slot for the trigger, and then I'll see where I go from there. I'll have to start folding the sides over, and obviously there's a profile to work out to get the right shape here. Now it could be worth me just cutting this out in cardboard and folding the cardboard into the shape I need, then flattening the cardboard out and making a proper template for the steel. So I may well just go and do that and then see how that works out. Okay, so I've cut this out in cardboard now. So if we look at the lower receiver here now, I can slide this stock off. The stock's not finished yet, so all that's going to be done yet. I've put a bit of PVA glue in the side of it where I damaged it with the plane. PVA glue and some stain and some sawdust, but it needs a little bit more work, yeah, to get it looking quite right. Now if we look at this lower part here, you can see how I've got the gearbox seated. Now the gearbox, to get it to look right, sits just about level at the rear. Now what I've done is I've cut approximately 1 centimetre out of the rear here into a little, I've made a little cut out. It doesn't have to go down quite as deep as I've made it. If you notice here, if you basically cut a notch in the rear around about 1 centimetre down, I've gone about 2 centimetres down. You can see it was too much, but this is pretty much a prototype, isn't it? You know, it's I'm doing it as I go, working it out as I go. Now the trigger position is just about correct to the real gun. If I take a measurement to the back of the trigger, I do it in metric, 9 centimetres. If I compare the same sort of point there, 9 centimetres to the back of the trigger. So it's working out right. By the looks of things, I won't even have to change the shape of this trigger. I'll be quite happy with how it looks. It's not identical to the real one, but it'll do for me, I would think. If I flip this over on its side, you can compare the two triggers. So that's your M14 trigger on the Airsoft, and that's the real BAR trigger. I'm sure anyone could just get a little piece of plastic, black plastic, and bond it in behind the rear there, and it would look perfectly okay. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to cut this out, and then I'll work out the exact shape after I've cut a slot in here for the trigger to come through. Now down here at the rear, you notice there's quite a little bit of space around each side of the back end of this gearbox.